Hey, this is a fancy neighborhood. What are you doing here? We live in that high-rise condo over there. This area isn't for people like you. I never thought I'd run into him again. The rich guy who cheated on me with a younger woman and left me. And now they're both looking down on me again. Still looking plain and poor, huh? Oh, by the way, I'm making $100,000 a year now. $100,000 a year? That must be tough. The unexpected comment came from my husband. My name is Evelyn. I'm 28 and work at a company that deals in ceramics. It all started when I was in middle school and we stopped at a pottery market that my mom loved during a family trip. Now it's even become my job. I'm happy that I can do what I love for a living, but I've also thought that staying single might not be so bad. Life is unpredictable. You never know what kind of encounters you'll have. Participating in a town revitalization project for a pottery market, I met Jack from an event company and we started dating. Evelyn loves her job and works hard, so she respects my work too. With Evelyn, I feel confident we can build a home together. He said that, and I had no intention of quitting my job, so I thought we could make it work even after marriage. Jack, due to his job, often travels to event locations and is busy on weekends. I'm the same, sometimes working on weekends due to the pottery studio schedule. It's inevitable that we can't always meet on our days off or have to cancel plans last minute. Being too trusting, I realized too late. Jack started canceling our plans at the last minute more often and didn't show up for our wedding planning meetings. He stopped answering his phone, unlike before. One day after a meeting as I was heading to the station, I spotted Jack on the opposite sidewalk across the street. It was a coincidence. I was going to head straight home today, but I thought it would be nice to have dinner together after a long time. As the light turned green, I started running after him. Jack, are you done with work? Can we have dinner together? Next to Jack was a beautiful woman with long legs, and they both turned around at the same time. Moreover, her arm was firmly intertwined with Jack's. Evelyn, what are you doing here? What a coincidence. I was nearby for a work meeting and just finished. Are you still working, Jack? And who might this be? It didn't seem like he was working, but I asked calmly. I knew he often interacts with models and companions because of his job. This is Grace, a model. Hello. She smiled at me warmly. She was stylish and pretty, no wonder she's a model. So, it's work-related, I thought, feeling a bit relieved. I'm not happy about them being arm in arm, though. I mean, they're still intertwined. But maybe that's normal for someone who works as a model? Hello, I'm Evelyn, engaged to him. As I greeted them, Jack looked displeased for some reason, and the woman named Grace, after comparing my face to his, burst into laughter. What? She's the fiancé? Oh no, we've been caught, Jack. I told you to hurry up. Since it's come to this, let's clear things up here and now. As she said this with an upward glance, he turned to me. Look, Evelyn, I'm dating Grace. What? Sorry, but let's pretend our engagement never happened. I'm going to marry Grace. What? Jack, what are you talking about? Grace and I met at an outdoor festival event. We felt an instant connection. I'm sorry, but Jack was the one who actively pursued me, saying he'd break up with you. She said this nonchalantly. So, thanks for everything up to now. Wait, Jack, let's at least talk properly once. But there's nothing more to talk about. What? My mind's made up. Grace is cute, stylish, and just perfect. She's only 24 and comes from a wealthy family. Jack, stop it. My dad's just a CEO. So, I'm going to marry Grace and become her family's son-in-law. What? You're quitting your job? I thought you loved your work. Grace asked me to. It's more profitable than my current job. Oh, and make sure you cancel the wedding venue. Don't worry, I'll pay the cancellation fee since it's my fault. Wow, Jack, that's so responsible. I just want to be with Grace as soon as possible. So cool! I managed not to faint. There's no point in saying anything more. As she said, it seemed like Jack was the one smitten. I understand. I squeezed out the words. I can't cry yet, not in front of these people. See ya, keep working hard covered in dirt. Haha, what's that about? They walked away, arms still intertwined, laughing. 2 years after breaking up with Jack, I turned 30 and was still devoted to my work. Now I have no regrets about that man. In fact, I consider myself lucky not to have married and then been cheated on. That's how I see it. When the pottery I design comes out of the kiln, it energizes me. And someone has been watching me. Andrew, a craftsman at the pottery studio I've worked with for years. I thought he was only interested in ceramics. He invited me to dinner and on the third occasion, confessed his feelings. I was surprised, but also very happy as I respected him as a craftsman. But still carrying a big trauma, I was hesitant to step into a new relationship. So I told him everything without holding back. I had announced my engagement at work and to the pottery studio associates, so he already knew about its cancellation. He listened quietly, then offered me his usual kind smile. That must have been tough. Yes. I was actually shocked when I heard you were getting married. I thought it was natural for someone as wonderful as you to have a partner, and I blamed myself for not making a move. Really? His words were unexpected. When you tried to smile and said the marriage was off, I wanted to support you right away, but I thought you needed time. I focused on my work, hoping to keep making good pottery to help you feel better. You've been thinking about me since then? And believe it or not, I'm quite popular. Huh? Maybe it's because my grandfather is a wealthy man, but I've been approached by quite a few beauties, even dated some, but I never felt excited. I find more joy in working with clay. Oh. He spoke earnestly, not bragging or joking. As I thought how natural he was, he looked straight at me. Evelyn is the first person I've ever wanted to make happy. While I felt a laugh coming on, my heart warmed. With him, I felt everything would be okay. I naturally felt that way. Happiness! I'm looking forward to it, I found myself saying. A year later, Andrew and I got married. Everyone at the company and the pottery studio celebrated with us. To continue working, we initially lived in 2 places. One was his family home near the pottery studio. I was astonished to learn that his grandfather, a wealthy man, owned such a mansion. We lived in a part of it. We planned to eventually leave my job and live there permanently, working together at the pottery studio. The other was an apartment near my company in the city center. The apartment still lacked furniture, so today we were at a nearby interior shop. An unexpected encounter awaited us there. Not a pleasant one. As we looked at sofas, a voice came from behind. Is that plain Jane over there, Evelyn? Jack. It had been over 3 years, but he was unforgettable. My former fiancé Jack was there, and with him his model girlfriend Grace. I knew they had married as he had declared. Grace was very active on social media and in magazines. But she seemed different now, less cute, her expression harsher. Come to think of it, I hadn't seen her in the media lately. Jack had a sneering smile, but his face lacked its usual energy. Hey, this is a fancy neighborhood. What are you doing here? Is a permit required to shop in a fancy neighborhood now? Wait, you don't live around here, do you? This store is expensive, not a place for someone like you. That's right, you still look plain and poor. Loving that dirt color, huh? I was disgusted by their unchanged condescending attitude and had no expectations for an apology. That's right. If someone as uncool as you hangs around, it'll lower the store's reputation. People might think we're poor too. Did you come all the way here? By the way, our house is that famous high-rise over there, on the 25th floor. Their unsolicited bragging was annoying, but arguing was a waste of time. I chose to remain silent. Not liking my response, Jack continued to provoke. You still love pottery, huh? You look so poor. Oh, by the way, I make $100,000 a year now. He moved into our high-rise for me. He's my husband now. $100,000 a year? That must be tough. Wait, what? The sudden comment came from Andrew. I was surprised too, responding in unison with these unpleasant people. It's a bit worrying, being in someone else's home. Who is this guy? Jack noticed my husband. Nice to meet you, I'm Andrew. Evelyn used to work with you, I believe. They seemed surprised for a moment, but then mocked my husband. Wow, you got married? Well, plain people suit each other. Really, such a dull guy. Didn't even notice him. What's with that tough comment earlier? Jack glared at my husband. Well, living on the 25th floor of that high-rise and making only $100,000? That's right, I make $100,000, Jack boasted. With all those brands you wear, I can't help but worry. Haha, a poor person trying to sound smart. Unfortunately, we're not struggling. Is that so? Your wife doesn't look too happy, though. What's wrong, Grace? Nothing. Maybe you don't understand the number $100,000. What about you, making $10 an hour? No, I'm not an employee. I stay at home. Unemployed, huh? I knew it. You married for money. It's not like that. Please stop insulting my dear Evelyn. Haha, an unemployed has to defend, right? They continue to misunderstand and look down on us. Evelyn, let's go. Dealing with these people who lack a future will only lead to trouble. Right, let's leave quickly. My husband took my hand and we walked away. Don't be sore losers. Don't come here again. Don't pretend you're from around here. But we do live in opulent towers. As my husband replied, they burst into laughter. Haha, making up obvious lies because you're jealous. Everyone knows opulent towers. It's the most expensive around. No way the unemployed can live there. Ignoring their laughter, we left. I can't believe we ran into them there. I'm really sorry, Andrew. I apologized as we walked. I'm the one who should be sorry. Maybe it was rude of me to worry about their finances upon first meeting. This is why I'm told I can't read the room. I almost burst into laughter at my husband's serious response. It wasn't him who was rude, clearly. But living in that high-rise is so close to us, I'd hate to run into them again. Our apartment was near theirs. We had considered their building, but were glad we chose differently. My husband replied, It's okay, they won't be there much longer. What? Weren't that women's parents wealthy? Do you know their name? I was stunned, not understanding what he meant. A few days later, as my husband and I were leaving the entrance, Jack's voice suddenly called out, There you are! You really do live here! Jack and Grace appeared, and I was surprised. Why are you here? Help us! What? We're being kicked out of the high-rise. Why? For not paying rent. Then it's only fair. This had nothing to do with us. Wait, we were allowed to delay payment until now, but suddenly they won't wait anymore. All because of your husband, Grace shouted. How is that my husband's fault? Your husband owns that high-rise. She was red-faced with frustration. It's not me, it's Dad. What? It originally belonged to my grandfather, but now I think it's in Dad's name. Well, it doesn't matter. The management company said if we don't pay, they'll start eviction proceedings. That's only natural. It's not a charity. What? That's why I said $100,000 a year must be tough. What do you mean by that? Jack shouted in confusion. With a combined income of $100,000, a couple could live quite comfortably. But the rent for the 25th floor there is $5,000 a month, right? I assume you factored in taxes. What? And on top of that, you're indulging in brands. It's almost like you're heading toward bankruptcy. Grace, you were the one who wanted to live there. When did we start falling behind on rent? It's because of the socializing on the high floors. Expensive lunches, spas, bags, and jewelry. I have to have the best or I won't be taken seriously. You could simply choose not to associate with such people. What? Is keeping up appearances so important that you go into debt for it? Debt? Jack raised his voice seemingly in shock. He didn't know? What do you mean we're in debt on top of not paying rent? That's the hardship of staying on top among the upper floors. As a model, I can't be seen in shabby clothes. There's hardly any modeling work for you now, right? That explains why she's been out of sight lately. It's tough in that industry, constantly new and younger faces. As I murmured, Grace glared at me fiercely. Shut up, you plain Jane. Damn it, Grace. You said you'd handle the finances, and now you're telling me we're not even paying rent? Jack confronted Grace. But her parents are rich, right? You always bragged about that. They should help. I offered what sounded like helpful advice. But Evelyn, her family's business has been struggling since last year, and they're not in a position to help. Wait! Perhaps that's why they can't afford the rent now. Maybe they were getting help from her family before. Wait, how do you know about Dad's company? My grandfather is a conglomerate chairman. What? A conglomerate? We're talking serious wealth here. Jack muttered in disbelief. Your father's company used to have dealings with us, but not anymore, my husband continued calmly. My grandfather owns many high-rises, both domestically and internationally. Then why didn't you say that when we met last time? It's unseemly to brag about such things. Are you mocking me? Not intentionally, but it seems that way now, doesn't it? So annoying. Sorry about this. Don't apologize for the atmosphere. It was like a comedy show. As I tried not to laugh at their argument, Grace snapped. But that's not your money, right? You're just living off your grandfather's wealth. I set the record straight. Andrew is a renowned potter. What? Customers wait months for his ceramics. We're also creating affordable items to reach more people, and our online sales always sell out. My husband never relied on his grandfather's money. Don't lump us together with you. We're always told we can ask for help if needed. After smiling, my husband returned to a serious expression and looked at Jack and Grace. Normally, if rent is 3 months overdue, the contract can be terminated and eviction proceedings start. After that, if there's still no payment, forced eviction follows in 2 to 3 months. That's clearly stated in your high-rises contract. We waited 5 months because we believed Grace's story. What? She pleaded for more time, saying her husband was ill and their income had decreased. What? Grace, what the hell are you doing? It was a lie. They were actually living in luxury and racking up debt. I've reported this to Dad and Grandpa. Why do you know about our debt? Jack's face turned pale and Grace was nearly in tears. We looked into it, my husband said simply. I knew about their past from Evelyn. We're happy now, and running into them was just a coincidence. So what? But what did you say when you met Evelyn again? Not a word of apology, just insults. That's unacceptable. That's ridiculous. And I was genuinely worried. Earning $100,000 and living in that high-rise seemed impossible. What? You should be relieved we found out before your debt increased further. Jack and Grace gaped at my husband's smile. What's with this natural-born tycoon? I was impressed with his effortless response. Not sarcasm, just honestly. Whether it's because he's born into an incredibly wealthy family or just his personality, I'm not quite sure. Probably the latter, though. Help us, Evelyn. I'll apologize. Right, you can fix this, can't you? They were suddenly playing nice. No, thank you. I smiled, not as naturally as my husband, but with a bit of mischief. It's not our business. Let's go, Evelyn. Wait! Don't smile and cut us off like that. Ignoring their screams, my husband and I walked away hand in hand. Jack and Grace eventually had to leave the high-rise. Grace's dad paid their overdue rent, but in exchange she was disowned. Her family's business was struggling, and Jack's income had dropped too. They'd spent recklessly to keep up appearances, and now her parents demanded repayment for the rent and refused to help with the debt. Jack, dismayed by Grace, was considering divorce. If he left all the money management to her, wasn't he partly to blame? Grace had borrowed from shady sources, now chased by dubious debt collectors. Meanwhile, my husband and I were discussing new designs for our popular pottery series at the workshop. We're creating items for families, couples, and solo relaxation times. We want to gradually expand our range of pottery to cater to the needs of every kind of lifestyle. Which color do you think is better here, Evelyn? Please take a look. Sure. Someday, I hope to youth a family of our own using my husband's pottery. Today, in our beloved studio, we're surrounded by the scent of clay.